Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we open these files, we're looking for something specific. A hidden mechanism in a tech company, a loophole in a legal case, something structural.
Something we can map out.
Exactly. But today we are looking at something that feels less like a case file and more like a cultural scar.
That is a very evocative way to put it. I think it's the right way to put it.
It's the only way I can describe it. We are going back to Boulder, Colorado. We're going back to Christmas, 1996. And I think every single person listening right now knows exactly what I'm talking about.
The JonBenet Ramsey case.
The JonBenet Ramsey case. But here is the challenge, and this is what I want to really emphasize before we even open the dossier. I feel like this case is covered in, let's call it pop culture grit.
Oh, that's a good term for it.
You've got the magazine covers, the TV movies, the tabloids. It's hard to see the actual room, the actual evidence, because there's so much noise.
And that is exactly what our source material today is tackling. The dossier is titled Static of the Dead.
A perfect title.
It is, because in audio engineering or, signal processing, static is what prevents you from hearing the message. In this investigation, the static is the media circus, the botched police work, the bizarre behavior of the family. Our job today is to try to tune that out.
We want to find the signal.
We want to find the signal.
And to find that signal, we have to situate ourselves in the reality of that night. Not the tabloid version, but the physical reality. So paint the picture for me. It's Boulder. It's arguably the height of the 90s economic boom.
Right. It's December 25th, 1996. The Ramsey family is the picture of American success. You have John Ramsey, the president of Access Graphics. He's not just a businessman. He is like a titan of industry in that local area.
A big deal.
A very big deal. He's wealthy, respected. And then you have Patsy Ramsey, a former Miss West Virginia, incredibly social, very active in the community. They were, the town's golden couple.
And the house. We have to talk about the house. Because in this story, the house is practically a character.
It is. 100%. It's a Tudor-style mansion in the Chautauqua neighborhood. Over 7,000 square feet. It's a labyrinth.
It's not just a big house, it's a confusing house.
Exactly. It has spiral staircases, multiple levels, a basement that is a maze of small rooms and storage areas. It's the kind of house that is impressive to look at, but perhaps, difficult to secure.
And on this specific night, it's the end of a perfect Christmas. The source material outlines their timeline, and it's almost aggressively normal.
It really is. They're at a friend's house, the Whites, for a Christmas dinner party. They come home around 9:30 p.m.
And they park in the back alley. You mentioned that's important.
It's an important detail for later, yeah. They carry JonBenet inside. She's fallen asleep in the car. Now remember, JonBenet is 6 years old. She is already a local celebrity because of the beauty pageants.
The blonde hair, the costumes.
All of it.
Yeah.
The whole public persona. But in this moment, she's just a tired kid. They put her to bed.
John says he put her to bed.
Right. He carries her up, puts her to bed, and that's where the normal ends. Because when the sun comes up on December 26th, that house stops being a home and starts being a crime scene.
A very, very confusing one. Let's fast forward to 5:52 a.m.
This is the moment the timeline fractures. Patsy Ramsey makes a 911 call. She is hysterical. She tells the operator she has found a note on the back staircase. A ransom note.
Okay, stop right there. The note. I want to spend a significant amount of time on this note because I've read a lot of case files, and usually a ransom note is functional. It's direct.
Right. I have your daughter. Drop $50,000 at the bus station. No cops. Bam. Done.
The goal of a typical kidnapper is to minimize time and maximize compliance. They don't want to leave evidence. They don't want to hang around.
No, you want to be a ghost.
But this note, I'm looking at the facsimile of it right now in the dossier. It's a manuscript.
It's nearly 3 pages long.
3 pages? Who writes a 3-page ransom note? It's unheard of.
That is the $1 million question, or in this case, the $118,000 question. But let's look at the logistics first, because this is what the source really zeroes in on. The chilling part is that this note wasn't written beforehand and brought to the scene.
No, it was written there.
Inside the house.
Using their things.
Yes, on a notepad that belonged to the Ramseys. With a Sharpie pen that belonged to the Ramsey.
Okay, so just pause and put yourself in the shoes of an intruder. You've broken into a 7,000 square foot house. It's dark, you don't know the layout, you're there to kidnap a child. But before you grab the child, or maybe after, we don't know, you decide to go downstairs, find a pad of paper, find a pen, and stand there for. How long does it take to write 3 pages neatly?
At least 20 minutes, maybe half an hour.
That implies a terrifying level of comfort. An intruder usually wants to get in and get out. Adrenaline is high. You're worried about waking the parents, tripping an alarm, a neighbor seeing a light.
But this person sat there, and composed a manifesto. And it gets weirder. The source mentions that they found practice drafts.
Practice drafts, like, oh, I didn't like how that sentence sounded. Let me start over. It's absurd.
Essentially, there was a page where the writer started Mr. Mrs. Ramsey and then stopped. The final note starts with just Mr. Ramsey.
That feels theatrical. It feels like someone playing the role of a kidnapper rather than actually being one.
That is a major theory in the behavioral analysis community. The note is filled with movie quotes, phrases like, listen carefully, and references to a small foreign faction. It reads like a pastiche of Dirty Harry and Speed.
It's almost comical if the circumstances weren't so horrific. This small foreign faction. The note is signed SBTC. To this day, 30 years later, do we have any idea who SBTC is?
None. Zero. There is no terrorist group, no local gang, no known entity with those initials. It appears to be a total fabrication designed to create a boogeyman.
Just noise. Just more static.
Exactly. It's meant to send the police chasing ghosts.
But then, in the middle of all this movie villain dialogue, there is a number that is so specific it breaks the illusion. The demand is not for $1 million. It's not for $500,000. It is for $118,000.
This is the detail that keeps investigators up at night. $118,000. It's a bizarre sum for a ransom.
Right.
It's lumpy. It's not a clean number.
And it's not random, is it?
No. As the source highlights, John Ramsey had received a Christmas bonus earlier that year. The exact amount on his pay stub, $118,000.
So it's a perfect match.
To the dollar.
Okay, so let's play detective here. If I'm a stranger breaking into the house, a member of a small foreign faction, how do I know that number?
You'd have to find it. You'd have to be rummaging through a desk in the dark, find a pay stub or a bank statement and be able to read it, or turn on a light and risk being seen.
And even then, why ask for that specific amount? Why not look at the pay stub, see he makes good money, and ask for a nice round million or $500,000?
Asking for the exact bonus amount feels personal. It feels like a message. It says, I see you. I know everything about you. Or it suggests the person writing the note already had that number in their head because they were part of the family or, very close to the family. They didn't need to look it up.
Which brings us to the handwriting. I know handwriting analysis is kind of a soft science sometimes, but what did the experts say? What's the general consensus in the file?
It was controversial, and it remains so. They looked at John Ramsey. He was effectively cleared. His writing style didn't match.
Okay.
They looked at friends, business associates, nothing. But when they looked at Patsy Ramsey,
the mother,
the experts couldn't rule her out. Now, they didn't say she definitely wrote it. You have to be very clear about that.
Right.
But they concluded that on a scale of probability, she could not be excluded.
So there were similarities.
There were similarities in letter formation, and specifically in the tone of the writing, certain maternal phrasings that seemed very out of place for a supposed foreign faction.
It's all just so contradictory. It's trying to be two things at once, a scary foreign threat and something else.
It's a mess.
So we have a 3-page note written on family paper asking for a specific bonus amount, potentially in the mother's handwriting style. If you're the police arriving at 6 a.m., you're thinking, okay, this is weird, but we have a kidnapping.
Right, and this is where the static begins to overwhelm the signal. Because if this is a kidnapping, the number one priority is preserving the scene and waiting for the call.
And the note gave him a deadline for that call.
It did. The note said, we will call you tomorrow between 8 and 10 a.m.
So the clock is ticking, the police are there, the family's there, and this is the part that drives me crazy looking at the source material. The house wasn't locked down.
It's the original sin of this investigation. It's criminal justice 101. In a modern investigation, you tape off the whole block. No one goes in, everyone goes out.
But not here.
But in 1996, Boulder, which remember was a safe, quiet town with a very low murder rate, the police allowed friends to come over to comfort the Ramseys.
So you have neighbors, the pastor, friends, just walking around the crime scene.
Walking around, making coffee, using the kitchen, sitting on the furniture, cleaning surfaces.
Aiming.
One of Patsy's friends apparently wiped down the kitchen counter with a spray cleaner.
Oh my God.
Every person who walked through that door brought in their own fibers, their own DNA, their own fingerprints. They were layering static over the evidence. They were erasing the signal without even knowing it.
And meanwhile, JonBenet is nowhere to be found. The parents say she's gone. The notes say she's been taken. So everyone is assuming she's physically out of the house.
That was the working assumption. She has been taken. So the search was external. They were looking for cars, looking for footprints in the snow outside. They weren't tearing the house apart, looking for a body.
Because the note told them she was alive.
Exactly. The note told them she was alive and being held for ransom.
God, the manipulation of that note. It literally directed the police away from the house.
Precisely. It bought time, and it directed the gaze outward. But as the hours ticked by, 8 a.m. comes, no call. 9 a.m., no call. 10 a.m. passes.
The deadline in the note is missed.
And the phone never rings.
The tension in that house must have been suffocating.
Imagine it. You're the parents. You're waiting for the phone to ring to save your daughter. And the phone just sits there. The hope must have just been draining out of the room.
And then we get to 1:05 p.m. And this is a moment where the source material points a finger at Detective Linda Arndt. She's the only officer left in the house at this point, right?
Yeah, the other officers had left to pursue leads or set up taps. Arndt is there with John Ramsey and a few friends. And seeing John's distress, his pacing, she makes a suggestion.
A fateful suggestion.
She tells John and his friend, Fleet White, to search the house to see if anything is amiss, top to bottom.
She asks the father, who, let's be honest, is statistically a suspect in any child disappearance, to go search the crime scene.
It breaks every protocol we have today. It's unthinkable. You never let a witness, let alone a potential suspect, conduct a search. But she did.
And what does John do?
He goes straight downstairs to the basement.
Straight there. Not to the bedrooms first or the main floor.
According to Arndt's report, he went directly to the basement. Now, the basement in this house is a warren, but there's a specific room, a wine cellar. It's windowless, cold, out of the way.
And that's where he finds her.
That's where he finds her. And this is the moment the kidnapping narrative disintegrates. JonBenet wasn't taken. She was there the whole time. In the house.
John finds the body.
Yeah.
And his reaction, again, as a human, my heart breaks for him, but as an analyst looking at the forensics, I want to scream.
He picks her up.
He moves the body. He shouldn't have touched anything.
Carries her upstairs. And in that act, that desperate fatherly act, he destroys the final pieces of context, the position of the body, the way the blanket was wrapped, any trace evidence on the floor around her.
It's all gone.
It's all disturbed. He brings her up to the living room and lays her on the floor right in the middle of this contaminated, chaotic house.
So now we have a contaminated house, a moved body, and a ransom note that lied about everything.
And the investigation hasn't even officially started yet. The
Yeah.
static is already deafening.
We need to take a breath here, because what happens next, what the autopsy reveals, changes this from a confusing kidnapping to a brutal, perplexing murder.
It gets much, much darker.
We need to talk about what they found on her body, and specifically, we need to talk about a bowl of pineapple.
The pineapple, it sounds so innocuous, but it might be the most important piece of evidence in the entire case.
Let's get into that. Section 3 of the source material breaks down the forensics. First, the cause of death. It wasn't just one thing, was it? It was complex.
No, it was a combination of two catastrophic injuries. The official cause was asphyxiation by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma.
Okay, let's unpack craniocerebral trauma. We aren't talking about a bump on the head from falling down the stairs. This was severe.
We are talking about a massive fracture. The autopsy showed an 8.5-inch crack along the length of the skull. It was a blow so violent it displaced a piece of the skull.
So it was a crushing blow.
A crushing blow delivered with immense force. The coroner compared it to injuries you'd see from a major car accident or a fall from a significant height.
Like getting hit with a baseball bat.
Exactly like that. Or a heavy flashlight. Or a heavy object dropped from a height. The medical examiner concluded that this blow would have rendered her unconscious immediately. She likely wouldn't have felt anything after that moment.
That's a small mercy, I guess. But she was also strangled.
Yes. And this brings us to one of the most bizarre elements of the crime scene. The garrote.
The garrote. For those who don't know, explain what that is mechanically. It's a very specific kind of weapon.
It is. A garrote is a strangulation device. It's usually a cord or a wire with a handle that allows the killer to tighten it from behind with leverage. It's not just using your hands, it's using a tool for maximum compression. It's an implement of control.
And in this case, the tool was makeshift. It was homemade.
Completely. It was a white cord similar to a shoelace or a decorative cord tied around a broken paintbrush handle.
A paintbrush handle. And where did the paintbrush come from?
That's the key. Part of the paintbrush, the bristled end, was found in the basement, inside Patsy Ramsey's art supply kit. The other part, the handle used in the garrote, was around JonBenet's neck.
So once again, we have the inside the house theme. The paper for the note was from the house. The pen was from the house. The murder weapon, at least the strangulation device, was made from items in the house.
It reinforces the idea that the killer was comfortable enough to source their tools on site. They didn't bring a rope, they found a cord and a stick and made one.
That implies improvisation, which is so strange.
There's a contradiction here, though, isn't there?
That's what I was just thinking. The note implies a sophisticated, planned foreign faction. The garrote implies a crude, improvised weapon made from arts and crafts supplies.
They don't seem like they come from the same person or the same plan.
And then there's the sexual assault aspect, which confuses it even more.
The autopsy did find evidence of vaginal trauma. It wasn't conclusive for a completed assault in the way we might legally define it, but there was injury. It suggests the sexual motivation was part of this.
Which, again, conflicts with the note. Why write a ransom note for money if the goal is sexual assault?
It doesn't fit. The criminal profiles are completely different. Kidnappers for ransom see the victim as a commodity, an asset to be traded. Sexual predators see the victim as a target for gratification. It's rare to see both motivations overlap so clumsily.
It's like the killer couldn't decide what crime they were committing.
Or they were trying to make it look like multiple crimes to confuse everyone.
Now, I want to circle back to the pineapple. We mentioned it earlier, but we need to really dig into why this fruit matters so much.
It matters because of digestion. The medical examiner found partially digested pineapple in JonBenet's proximal small intestine.
Okay, biology class time. What does that tell us about time? How does that help build a timeline?
Based on how digestion works, the movement of food from the stomach to the small intestine, it suggests she ate that pineapple roughly an hour or two before she died.
But the parents said she was asleep.
Exactly. John and Patsy claimed they came home at 9:30, she was asleep, they carried her to bed, and they went to sleep. They denied feeding her pineapple. They denied she woke up.
They were adamant about that timeline.
Very. They said she never woke up.
And yet, in the kitchen,
Police photos show a bowl of pineapple on the table with a serving spoon in it.
and who else's fingerprints were on that bowl?
Well, Patsy's fingerprints were on the bowl, which, sure, it's her house, she uses the bowls, but the existence of that bowl combined with the autopsy finding proves that at some point after coming home, JonBenet was awake and eating.
It blows a hole in the timeline. It means the perfect Christmas night where everyone went to sleep is false. Something happened downstairs.
It creates a missing hour, an hour where the family was awake, or at least some of them were, which they never admitted to the police. And in that missing hour, the catalyst for the murder likely occurred.
So we have a timeline that doesn't add up, a ransom note that reads like a movie script, and a crime scene that was contaminated by half the neighborhood. It's no wonder the media went absolutely feral over this.
The media explosion in Section 4 of our outline is hard to overstate. You have to understand, this was the O.J. Simpson era. The 24-hour news cycle was hungry for this kind of content.
And this case had everything.
It had everything. A child beauty queen, which provided endless and, frankly, unsettling footage of her in makeup and costumes, and a wealthy, good-looking family in a mansion. It was perfect for TV.
And the TV cameras pointed straight at the Ramseys.
They did. And based on what we've just discussed, the note, the lack of forced entry, the pineapple, the homemade garrote, you can see why. The police focused on them almost exclusively from the start.
It's the circle of trust theory. When a child is killed in their home with no signs of a break-in, you look at the people with the keys.
You look at the people inside the circle, and the Ramseys didn't help their case in the court of public opinion.
No, their behavior was strange.
They hired lawyers immediately. They hired their own private investigators. They refused formal police interviews for months.
Which, as we always say, is what a smart lawyer tells you to do. Never talk to the police without counsel. But to the public, it looks like guilt.
It looks like hiding.
Yeah.
And the police were...
Wow. But they almost were.
This is the 1999 grand jury. This is a crucial pivot point in the whole story. A grand jury sat for over a year. They heard witnesses we've never heard. They saw evidence we've never seen. And at the end of it, they voted.
And for years, we didn't know what that vote was, right? It was sealed.
It was sealed until 2013, when a journalist successfully sued to have it unsealed. When it was finally released, it was a bombshell.
The grand jury did vote to indict John and Patsy Ramsey.
They voted to charge them, both of them.
And what were the charges? Was it murder?
No, and this is very specific. They voted to charge them with child abuse resulting in death and accessory to a crime.
Wait, child abuse resulting in death? That sounds different than murder. What does that distinction imply?
It's very specific. It implies they didn't believe there was premeditated intent to kill, like they didn't wake up planning to murder their daughter, but they believed the parents, John and Patsy, permitted JonBenet to be in a situation that resulted in an unreasonable threat to her life, which led to her death. And then, afterward, they helped cover it up.
So, an accident or a moment of rage followed by a cover-up. That was the grand jury's theory.
That's what the charges suggest, yes.
So if the grand jury said, charge them, why didn't the district attorney do it? Why didn't we have a trial?
Alex Hunter was the DA. He looked at the indictment and he looked at the evidence and he refused to sign it. He publicly announced he would not be pressing charges. He believed that while there was probable cause, which is the standard for a grand jury indictment, he couldn't get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt in a trial. He didn't think he could win.
Because of the conflicting evidence.
Because the defense would have a field day, they would point to the contaminated crime scene, they would point to the lack of a confession, and most importantly, they would point to the DNA.
Ah, the DNA. This is the shield the Ramseys have used for decades. Let's talk about the 2008 turnaround. This is a huge moment.
Technology evolves. In 1996, DNA testing was good. In 2008, it was excellent. The Boulder DA's office, under a new DA named Mary Lacey, decided to use new touch DNA techniques.
What's touch DNA?
It's the ability to get a profile from just a few skin cells left behind when someone touches something. They scraped the fabric of JonBenet's long johns, specifically the waistband, where someone would have grabbed her to pull them down.
And what did they find?
They found a profile, a partial but clear profile of an unknown male. Not John Ramsey, not Burke Ramsey, a stranger.
And this was enough for the DA to issue a public apology.
It was. Mary Lacey wrote a formal letter of exoneration to John Ramsey. She said, essentially, the science proves an outsider did this. We were wrong to suspect you. She put the full weight of her office behind the intruder theory.
That feels definitive. Science doesn't lie. Case closed. It was an intruder.
Science doesn't lie, but it requires interpretation. And this is where the experts are still fighting. Is that DNA from the killer? Or is it secondary transfer?
We hear secondary transfer a lot. Break it down for us in this context. What does that mean here?
Okay. Imagine JonBenet is at the store of her mom. She buys those long johns. Maybe the factory worker in Malaysia who packed them sneezed. Maybe the guy stocking the shelves had a cut on his finger. Maybe JonBenet hugged a kid at the Christmas party who had his dad's DNA on his shirt.
So the DNA could be innocent background noise. It could have gotten there days or weeks before.
Exactly. It's microscopic. We aren't talking about a pool of blood. We are talking about a few skin cells. Some experts say it's mixed with her blood on the underwear. It must be the killer. Others say it's such a small fragmented sample, it could be from anywhere, and it proves nothing.
So the DNA is the signal for the intruder theory, but some people think it's just more static.
Perfectly put. It's either the key to the whole case or a total red herring.
I have to mention one sidebar before we get to the theories. The false confession. John Mark Carr.
That was a circus.
2006. This was a spectacle. A teacher named John Mark Carr was arrested in Thailand. He'd been emailing with a Colorado professor about the case and confessed. He told authorities he was with JonBenet when she died. He knew details. The world stopped. We got him. I remember that. It was front page news everywhere.
For a week, it felt like it was over, but...
But his DNA didn't match the unknown male profile. Not even close.
Not at all. And his passport showed he wasn't even in Colorado at the time. He was a delusional man who was obsessed with the case and inserted himself into the narrative. It was a cruel distraction for everyone.
It just shows how magnetic this case is for. Well, for craziness.
It shows how desperate people are for an answer. Any answer.
So let's try to find an answer.
Yeah.
Section 5 of our dossier outlines the 3 main theories. We've touched on them, but let's crystallize them. Theory number 1, the intruder.
The intruder theory relies on the physical evidence of an outsider. The DNA is the ace in the hole for this theory, but there's also the boot print.
A print in the basement.
Yes, a high-tech brand boot print was found in the mold on the wine cellar floor near the body. The Ramseys didn't own high-tech boots.
Okay, that's a solid piece of evidence.
It is. And then there's the basement window.
Right, the broken window.
There's a broken window in the basement. Underneath it, on the inside, someone had placed a suitcase, almost like a step. If you're agile, you could slip through that window, step on the suitcase, and be in the house.
So the narrative is, a stalker watches the family. He waits for them to leave for the party. He slips in the window. He hides in the giant, dark house. He waits for everyone to go to sleep.
He takes JonBenet from her bed. He takes her to the basement. Maybe to take her out the way he came in, or maybe the basement was the destination. Something goes wrong. She screams or he panics. He hits her, strangles her.
And then he stays to write the note after all that.
That's the weak point of the intruder theory. A huge weak point. Why write the note? Why stay in the house for an extra 20 or 30 minutes with a dead body? Why put the pen back in the cup? Why use their notepad?
It's the psychology that fails the intruder theory. The physics works, the DNA might work, but the psychology doesn't.
Exactly. Which brings us to theory number 2, family involvement, specifically a cover-up.
The narrative here is that this was an accident and a cover-up, not a premeditated murder.
Right. No one thinks the Ramseys were cold-blooded killers. The theory is that something happened in a moment of rage. Maybe it was about bedwetting, which was a known issue for JonBenet, and something Patsy was reportedly frustrated with.
Or maybe it was the pineapple incident. She stole a snack late at night, someone snapped.
A shove, a fall, a blow to the head,
Yeah.
and then panic sets in. Oh my God, what have I done? They won't believe it was an accident.
And so the perfect family image kicks in. They can't go to jail, they can't have a scandal, so they stage a kidnapping. They write the note to explain why she's gone, they mess up the crime scene to confuse the police. The strength of this theory is the note.
The note screams inside job. The language, the pen, the paper, the bonus amount, the practice drafts, it feels like someone trying desperately to sound like a criminal they saw in a movie.
But the weakness is, could parents really do that to their daughter's body? The garrote, the duct tape, the staging.
It's a horrific thought. Could a mother or father strangle their already dying or dead child to make it look like a murder? It defies our understanding of parental love.
But self-preservation is a powerful instinct.
Or preservation of the remaining family, which is a powerful instinct.
Which segues into the third, and perhaps most controversial theory, the Burke-Ramsey theory.
Burke was 9 years old, he was in the house, and he was interviewed by police, but very gently, as you'd expect for a child.
And we know he was awake, right? Or at least the pineapple bowl suggests someone was eating with JonBenet.
Some investigators believe the pineapple bowl had Burke's fingerprints on the spoon. The theory is that perhaps there was a sibling fight. A flashlight swing over a stolen piece of fruit in the middle of the night.
A 9-year-old doesn't mean to kill, but a heavy flashlight. A 9-year-old is strong enough to cause that kind of damage accidentally.
Exactly, an accident. A terrible, tragic accident.
But then the parents discover what's happened, and they are faced with a Sophie's choice.
One child is dead.
One child is dead. If they call the police, the other child, their son, is taken away, branded a killer. The family is destroyed forever.
So they decide to save the living one. They stage the scene to look like an intruder to protect Burke. It explains why the parents would go to such lengths. They weren't saving themselves, they were saving their son. It makes the horrific staging almost understandable in a twisted way.
But we have to be clear. Burke has denied this vehemently. He sued networks for promoting this theory.
He has consistently maintained his innocence. And physically, could a 9-year-old tie that intricate knot on the garrote? Could he really deliver that skull-crushing blow? It's heavily debated.
So synthesize this for us. We have 3 stories. None of them fit perfectly. Each one have a piece that works and a piece that makes no sense.
That is the tragedy of this case. If you look at the DNA, you acquit the family. If you look at the note, you convict the family. The evidence is at war with itself.
And because of the static, the contamination, the moved body, we can't go back and check. We can't dust the window again for fingerprints. We can't check the temperature of the body again to confirm time of death.
The signal was lost in the first few hours of December 26, 1996. All we have left is the noise.
It's so unsatisfied. It feels like we are reading a book with the last page torn out.
And that is why it haunts us. We need resolution. We need the puzzle to be solved. And when it isn't, we keep picking at it, turning the pieces over and over.
Let's move to the outro. We've gone through the files, we've looked at the horror. What is the lingering feeling here? What sticks with you?
For me, it's the image of the house. It's been sold, you know.
People live there now. That's incredible.
It's been renovated. The basement configuration has changed. Life goes on. But as the dossier says, the house doesn't forget. You can paint over the walls, but the history is there in the foundation.
And the static of the dead. That title really sticks with me now. It's not just about the evidence, it's about the silence of the victim. JonBenet can't tell us what happened.
She is the only one who knows the truth. Everyone else is just guessing, looking at shadows on the wall.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought from the source material. It's a question that I think sums up the entire paradox of this deep dive.
It's the ultimate binary choice. If the DNA clears the family, but the ransom note points to someone inside the house, are we looking for a stranger who knew too much?
A stranger who knew about the bonus, knew where the notepad was, knew the layout of that labyrinthine house.
Or are we looking for a familiar face who left a stranger's trace?
A familiar face who left a stranger's trace. That is the thought that will keep me up tonight.
It's the question that has kept America up for almost 3 decades.
And remember, all this time later, the case is still open. No one is in handcuffs. Justice is still waiting.
And we're still listening through the static.
That's it for this deep dive. It was a heavy one, but thank you for going there with us. We'll see you next time.